So what's happened recently? About a week or so ago, the North Koreans announced that they were going to launch a satellite in celebration of the 100th anniversary of their original leader and founder, Kim Il-sung, and that would take place around April 15th as a window that might occur. For most people, it was, wait a minute, didn't you just weeks ago sign a pledge that you would not launch a missile? But for the North Koreans, you must understand that they make a technical distinction that now no one else does. That there's a difference between a space launch vehicle, a satellite, and an intercontinental ballistic missile. The technology, the vehicle, all of those things are one and the same. The basic distinction is the trajectory and the payload. Do they have a weapon on top of it? Are they shooting it so it re-enters the atmosphere, or are they trying to put it in orbit? But all the technology, the booster, the rocker, everything else, rocket, is all the same. So it is happening during a transitional period in North Korea for which we are watching very closely. What I mean by a transitional period, you may have heard that the former leader, Kim Jong-il, died on the 17th of December, and it passed leadership to his designated heir, his third son, who's probably about 28 years old, looks about 12, has the experience of a 12-year-old. I've got grandchildren that I would put in control of that country before I would trust this particular kid. But nonetheless, there is a process of power accumulation, sides that are jockeying, in my opinion, and so this transition period is potentially unsettling. It has the potential to be dangerous or not. We just don't know. And so as we had thought we were taking a step forward in this 29 February agreement that would have allowed the inspectors back then shut down their facilities, that's now become unraveled. And so I would tell you, as you're looking for North Korean activity, what to expect, take a look at what's going to happen. What you have now is most of the world coming out and condemning North Korea for this. The Chinese have expressed their concern, but have been unable to stop the North Koreans. And so sometime between the 12th and the 16th of April, if the North Koreans proceed, they'll launch a satellite. That, in fact, will probably terminate the deal and everything else and put on the back burner any hopes of moving in a positive directive in terms of proliferation there. Now, what are the consequences of that? What you have, as an example, our ally South Korea, whom we have this military agreement with. We've been there with them thick and thin since the Korean War. We're there to stay. Josh mentioned this in his talks. But the South Koreans, rightly so, are a little concerned that the North Koreans are moving forward in the development of a sophisticated missile technology. So far, they've been unsuccessful. They've attempted on 3 previous occasions in 1998, 2006, and 2009, as Josh pointed out, to launch a satellite. They failed in one case. Mere seconds after the attempted launch, the missile exploded there. But they continue their research and development. They continue to look at ways to perfect this, and someday they will. And so the missile moratorium was important to us. So if they do that, you will see renewed concerns by the South Koreans that they themselves are constrained in their own defense of their own country. As an example, there's an international agreement called MTCR, Missile Technology Control Regime, that only allows, when we put it in place, those countries that didn't have ICBMs, if they joined this, which South Korea did, that they could only develop a missile or a rocket capability of a distance of 300 kilometers with a payload of 500-pound weapon on it. That is insufficient to cover or create a deterrence to North Korea. The South can't do that. So you will see in the newspapers and others renewed efforts to allow the South Koreans to develop that. Now, is that bad? We have complete faith and trust in our ally, but what it does is it weakens international regimes that are meant on a global scale to do that. This is absolutely attributable to North Korea. So my message to you is, yes, it is a strange place to go. I've been 11 times. I don't have any particular concerns. The North Koreans, I don't think want to see anything happen to me. I took my wife there for her birthday. You know, it's strange. Some people go to the Bahamas. I took her to Pyongyang. I gave her something to talk about. Everybody else thought I was a little odd or didn't like my wife very much. My point is, with the description of the Albright trip, as you peer inside there, this really is an isolated and difficult country to think about in rational terms. They operate, though, on their own rationale, and it's usually pretty consistent, and it's usually at odds with what the United States finds to be acceptable behavior. Josh had mentioned specifically the events in 2010 in which the North Koreans brazenly sunk a South Korean ship, and then months later fired artillery shells, killing 2 civilians and two military personnel on a South Korean island. This has raised the tension, and so what you have from linking this into the Chorus FTA, it is an increasing level of concern about the direction of where North Korea is going and pathways to lower the tension that are being shut by the North Koreans. So there is concern. You know, the alliance, the thing that I'll stop on so we can, you know, get to your specific questions, is the remarkable nature of the U.S.-South Korea alliance and relationship. You know, Josh mentioned that in terms of the personal relationship between President Obama and President Lee Myung-bak. It is incredible, but it permeates throughout both administrations, and it underpins what our veterans did so many years ago, and what we have done in terms of our people-to-people relationships. It is a remarkable relationship. It is one in which, if it were not as close and as robust as it is, I would have a little bit more concern about what's going on in North